Let me know once if you're able to see my screen.
Yes, we can see.
Is my screen visible now?
Yes, yes.
Okay, fine. Okay. So far we created only single project, that is project one. And in that, if you look at the project structure, right? If you look at the view and the controller folders, we have only a single view file in that. Means we have one more view file, but we didn't added any routing and configuration like that. Nothing we have added. OK, so let's consider that till now we are working with only single view and the controller file. OK, but in
Hello.
future, yes.
Can we create one new project and do this new one?
Yes, we can
Okay.
do. Otherwise, we can do, or we can also reuse this app. That's not a problem. Means, OK, if you want, I can create a new project. So freshly from the scratch, that will also help. Yeah, OK, I'm just creating a new project. OK, so but yeah, so while creating this project, uh, OK, so guys, what I'm trying to do here now. So every time, OK, at any time, if you are going to create a new project, so by default, a view will be created, right? By default, a view will be created. So for that view, always make sure that the name of that view, you keep it as app. OK, so I'll tell you why we are keeping it as an app. OK, so just make sure that whatever the means whenever you're going to create a project, new project, so make sure that default view, OK, default view or the view that is going to be created at the time of project creation, just give the name to that view as app. OK, just make sure that keep it as app only. Don't add any name. Just keep it as app. OK, fine. So now a project is created in this. OK, let me expand this web app. Yeah. So by default, so whenever I'm means whenever you create a new project, a default view and the controller file will be created for that. OK, and we as we know that every view file, every view and controller file will have a relationship between them, right? It is a one-to-one relationship between a view file and the controller file always. OK, so now till now we have worked with only a single controller file and only a single view file. But in project, right, in real term or in real life scenario, what will happen? For sure we will have lot of view files and lot of controller files in our application. OK, lot of view files and lot of controller files in our application. So whenever you want to switch between the multiple views, OK, whenever you want to switch between multiple views, so in that case we have to use routing. We have to use routing concept. OK, then only the navigation will happen between the views. Without router, your navigation will won't work. OK, so routing is must if you want to do the navigation between the views. OK, in between the views. OK, so that is one thing. So now what is routing and navigation? So how the routing and navigation, it has been taken care in SAP UI5. Okay, so I'll tell you. So this routing and navigation in SAP UI5, this navigation is done with the help of hash. Okay, everything is hash based navigation in SAP UI5. What is hash based means? Whenever a URL is changed after the hash, automatically with the help of router API, a callback will trigger. Okay, a function will be triggered, which will identify that what has been changed in the URL. Okay, and based on that, it will just compare that URL. Compare that URL inside the manifest.json file. Means we will maintain one configuration, routing and navigation configuration inside the manifest.json file. And based on that, if let's say if I'm changing some URL on the whenever I'm changing any URL in the browser, so automatically a callback will trigger. Okay, a function will be triggered and that will compare the URL with the configuration which I will be maintaining inside the manifest.json file. If both things are matching, then only automatically that part of view will be re-rendered. Only that part of view will be updated rather than reloading the entire app. Okay, so one thing we have to make sure that any app you are going to create, okay, with the help of SAP UI5, it is always single page application. Okay, single page means within the page only content will be updated. Your entire page will not be reloaded. Okay, make sure that means any app that we are creating in this SAP UI5, it is a single page application. Okay, single page means only one page is there, and inside that only content we are updating based on the requirement. Okay, till now it's clear.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so now how the hash means, what is the hash actually? Okay, I can do one thing. Let me run this app for a second. Okay, so I'm just running this app in the new tab. Recording is started, right? Okay. Mm. Mm, yeah. Okay, fine now. Okay, so now, okay, as soon as I run this app, how application is getting know that we have to load this page only? How it is done? Because we need to maintain configuration for it. Okay, earlier before WebID full stack, there was WebID personal edition. Okay, and then before WebID personal edition, we used to do the development on Eclipse. Okay, so if you're still doing the development on Eclipse or on WebID personal edition, so this configuration, right? Configuration we need to manually add it. So manually we need to add those configuration, those routing configuration, then only this routing will work. But now what is happening? As SAP is updating its WebID full stack, and now the latest tool is BAS, Business Application Studio. So in all this tool, what is happening nowadays? As soon as you create the project, right, a default configuration is already created inside the manifest.json file. So you don't have to create your routing configuration explicitly. Okay. But going forward, let's say you're going to add more views and controller file, that things we need to take care afterwards. Okay. But the initial configuration, initial routing configuration and all, everything is been taken care in the project itself. Okay. You don't have to create anything extra for that. Okay. So now how the navigation is done, how the default view is getting re-rendered, everything we will see now. Okay. So now before we start, now let's go back to the manifest.json file and let's see, let's explore now. Okay. So this is my manifest.json file. So your routing configuration. So your routing configuration, we always have to add it inside sap.ui5 module. Okay. So under the SAP.UI5 namespace, we need to add our routing configuration. Okay, so as we are working on the BAS, so the default routing and configuration is already added. Can you see your routing? Okay, can you see where it is closing? So this routing configuration, it is starting from line number 89 and it is ending at line number 117. Okay, now this routing. So this is the routing, it is a keyword or the property which we need to add if you want to manually add your routing configuration inside the manifest.json file. Okay, so now this is once you add the routing configuration. So this routing configuration, it consists of this routing configuration, it consists of config, it consists of routes, and it consists of targets. Okay, so this entire configuration, it is divided in three parts: config, routes, and targets. Okay, so these are all standard things, guys. Okay, so now till now it's clear.
A week. Suppose we means the first view which we now just see.
Mhm.
So that view is loaded here only.
Yes, I'll tell you. We didn't come at that point, so
Okay.
I'll tell you that also.
Yeah.
So far it's clear, means whatever we have seen so
Huh.
now so far. Okay,
Routing and routes. What is the difference?
I'll tell you. Routing means it is a global configuration. Okay, routing means this is just a standard keyword inside which you will add the config, routes, and the targets. I'll tell you what is routes and what is target and config. Okay, so means same like models. In model inside the models, how you have added the couple of multiple models inside this, right? Like you created, you added a model for resource, you added the model for raw data. Likewise, if you want to add a configuration, so that will come under the routing. Okay, so that will come under the routing namespace. Okay, so like resources also, let's say you want to add a multiple JavaScript files, a third party JavaScript files, so that you can add it inside the resources. So resources, it is just a header name under which other things will come. So same like that under the routing, your config, your routes, and your targets will come. Okay. So now this routing configuration, it is divided in three parts. One is the config, one is the routes, and other one is the target. So what is inside the config? Okay. So now when I talk about the config, inside the config, you generally maintain a router class, which routing API you're going to use. Okay. So this router class is very important, that which API you want to use. So that you will define inside the router class. Okay. And then we have view type. So what type of views we are working with? So as a best practice in any application, 99.99% we will use XML views only. Okay, because that's what the SAP is recommending for us. Okay, so view type is XML. After that, async. How you want to load this view files, whether it should be synchronous or asynchronous. Always keep it as async only. Okay, because you don't want that other files to wait. Okay, just to load this file. So that's why we will always make sure that just to improve the application, right? Just to improve the performance of the application, we make sure that whatever files we load, right, that should be in async format, asynchronously. Then there is a view path. So all these views where it is located. So that path we have defined inside the view path. Okay, means for example, so this is the view folder and this is the app name. Okay, so inside the view, we have all the view files. So that path we need to define inside the view path. Then there is a control aggregation of pages and then control ID and clear control aggregation. So this clear control aggregation you can ignore. So this control aggregation and control ID we will see in few minutes. Okay. So now what we do inside the config, whatever you mention, okay, whatever the properties or the configuration that you will maintain inside the config, so that will be applicable to the entire app. Okay. So this is a global configuration that you will add it inside the config. So once you add the config, right? So this configuration, it would be means it is applicable to your entire app. Okay, nothing will be changed. Whatever we defined. So any going forward, any controller or any view you create. So so this configuration will be applicable for all the views and controller files. Okay. So inside the config, you will maintain your global configuration. So far it's clear, guys.
Yes, Avik, yes.
Yes,
Okay.
Avik. Yeah.
Okay, so now after the config, we have the routes. Okay, so now when it comes to the routes, so inside the route, you will always maintain the name of the route, the pattern of the route, and the target. Okay, so now what these routes will do, first of all. Okay, so now let's say you have 5 view files. Okay, let's consider you have the 5 view files. So based on that 5 view files, you have to define 5 routes here. Okay, because route means you will just provide a name to your view file, so that at the time of navigation, whatever the name you have provided here under the route, with the help of that same name, you will this application will help you to load that view.xml file. Okay, so it's just a name that you will add or that you will provide to your view.xml file. Okay, so now what inside the view file, what you generally do, you provide a name property, pattern property, and target property. So what is the name? Name means it is any custom name that you can provide. Okay, any name that you can provide to your route. So inside the route, if you see, we have the array structure, right? We have the structure inside the array. So now by default, we created a view file, which is app. So by default, so this is a default, this is a root view of your application. Okay, so how you will identify what is a root view of our application? Root view means this is the view inside which other view files will be loaded. Okay, so how to identify whether which view file is a root view of your application? So if you want to identify that, you just need to scroll up. Okay, once you scroll up, 1 second, where it is root view. Okay, so can you see here root view? Okay, so root view, it is one of the properties. So means root view means inside which you will define a view that would be call it as a root of your application. So inside this app is nothing but it is a root view of our app. So under the app only other view files will be loaded. So why we have the root view means, as I said earlier, that the applications that we are creating inside SAP UI5 are single page applications. Okay, so single page means, so now this app will be considered as a page, and inside this app only you will be loading other view files. Okay, so in this case, so this app will act as a root view of your app. Okay, so make sure that every time you create a new view file, okay, so you don't need to add anything inside the app controller, sorry, inside the app view file. You always keep this app view file as a blank. Okay, after that you create a new view file and new controller file for your application development. Okay, so now this is the root view of your application app, and after that type of that view file is XML, and this is also async true. And what is the ID of your root view or that root app.view.xml file is app. Okay, so I'll tell you why we need this ID and all and why it is more important. Okay, everything we will cover here. So now every time, so see, so by default, when you create an application, so your the default routes will be created for that app. Again, a default target will be created for that app. So what is the routes? So route means you will just use this route section for a naming convention, for a naming purpose. Okay, you will add or you will provide a name to your view.xml files. Okay, for your routes, just you're providing your custom name. Any name you can provide. Okay, in this, but make sure that this should properly identify for which view file you have added this. Okay, so inside the routes, if I look at the properties, first one is the app, second pattern, and the target. So what is the name? What is the name property in this routes? So name means, so now let's say I'm going to create a new view file. Okay. So now let's say if I want to navigate from one view file to another view file, so I will use this name property. Okay. So inside the controller, if I want to navigate from one view to another view, so whatever name I have specified for this name property, so that name I have to use in this controller. Got it now? Okay, because this name property, it will help you to navigate to that view.xml file within the view. Okay, so this name we have to use it inside the controller. So this value, whatever value you will provide, right, for this name property, so same name we have to use it inside the controller. We'll see that in few minutes, but before that, it's clear. And
Avi, suppose we have view 1, view 2, and view 3.
mm-hmm,
From view 1, we want to go to view 2, and from view 1, again, we want to go to view 3.
mm-hmm.
So from view 1 to view 2, there will be one route, and from view 1 to view 3, we need to define another route.
No, no, no. See, this routes means you will
Mhm.
just provide a name for your view files. It's not that you will specify view one to view one to view two, view two to view three. No, not like that. Okay, for every view file, you will create a routes. Okay, so let's consider that we have three view files. Okay, so you will create a three routes here. Okay, you will create a three routes. Okay, so now if I want to navigate from view 1 to view 2, so now if I want to go to the view 2, so whatever name I have provided for that route, for the view 2 route, okay, so this name value, this value is there, right? So this using this value only, I have to navigate. I have to use this value so for the navigation purpose, whatever I have defined inside this routes. Okay,
Oh,
we'll see that. Don't worry on this, Pinaki. It will be means it will be more clear once we get into this. Okay, so this route, this name value, we have to use it inside the controller.js file for the navigation purpose. So what about the pattern? So pattern will always appear in the URL. Okay, after the hash, the value that you will be going to see, that would be that value will be coming from the pattern. Okay, so whatever you define inside the pattern, that value will appear inside the URL after the hash. Okay, it's clear now.
yes, yes.
Okay, so now after that we have the target. So what is the purpose of targets? So target purpose is to load that associated view.xml file. Okay, till now you just provided a name which will help you to navigate between inside the controllers. Okay, and then you just provided the pattern that will appear inside the URL. But once the name and pattern, right, with the help of name and pattern, which view file to load, how SAP will understand, how UI5 will understand. So for that we need to use target. So the target will help us to load that associated view.xml file into application, right? So for this target, if you see, they provided one name, target app. Okay, so this target app is referring under the targets. So under the targets, we have the target app. Okay, so inside the target app, if you see, it is just a basic details that we need to provide. Okay, and which will help us to load that view file inside the application. So for example, inside the target app, what type of view file I need to use? I need to load view XML type, right? The view type of that file is XML. So transition means you will see some kind of animation when you navigate between the views. Okay, so that transition is of slide. Then clear control aggregation you can ignore. And then you have view ID and view name. So what is a view name? So view name is the name of your XML file. Okay, so it is case sensitive, guys. Make sure that whatever view files you created, that same name you have to provide inside the view name. Okay, and view ID can be anything. Based on your choice, you can provide any view ID for that. Okay, just to make that view unique into your application. Okay, fine now.
Yes.
Okay, so if I want to summarize, so under the config, you will maintain your router class, view files, and the view path from where we need to load. Okay, under the routes, you will for each and every view file, you will assign you will create a routes. For every views, you will create a route so that you can identify that view at the time of navigation with the help of name property and the pattern. Okay, and the target will help you to load that view file into the application. Okay, fine now.
Yes.
Okay, so now let's see under the config, what is this control ID and what is this control aggregation? Okay, control aggregation and control ID. And so guys, it is very important, this control aggregation and control ID. Without that, your navigation won't work. Okay, this is very important. Okay, so now by default, we created a app.view.xml file, which is called it as view, which is called it as a root view of your application, right? So when I open this app.view.xml file, okay, you will see a page. Inside that, you will see the content, and then there is a page. Okay, so this is what the basic configuration that we will be having. So now what we need to do, we need to remove all this. Okay, we need to remove all this. Okay, I'll tell you why I'm going to remove. So now here I'm going to add shell. Okay, inside this shell, I'm going to add app. Okay, and I'm going to provide an ID to this app. Fine. Okay, so this is the process. 1 second, this cp.m. Yeah. Okay, so now every time, so at anytime if you're going to create a new project, so you should not add anything inside your app.view.xml file. Because in this case, this app.view.xml file, it is acting as a root view of your application. Okay, so inside the root view, make sure that you don't add any code inside it. Okay, so this root view will act as a container for other view files. Okay, at the time of navigation. Because what I said earlier that in SAP UI5, you will the apps that you're going to create, it would be a single page application. So this app will help us to make sure that the apps will work within a single page. Okay, so now inside the app only, you're going to load other view files. Fine now. So as a best practice, so this root view of your app is there, right? Please don't add anything inside the root view of your app. Okay, always keep it as a container. Always keep it as a blank and container for other view files for the loading purpose. Okay, so now we have added app control, and inside the app, I have provided the ID app. So I have to make sure that this view ID, sorry, this control ID, it should matching with the apps view ID. Okay, so I'll just make this a as small. Okay, so this ID and this control ID of config, it should be same. It should be matching. Okay, it should match with the apps ID. So this control ID and the apps ID, both should be matched. Okay, fine now. And now inside the control aggregation, what we have, we generally have the aggregation of pages. Okay, so now inside the app only, you're going to load pages. Fine now. So that's why they have added the control aggregation as a pages, because at the end, you will be writing the code inside the pages, inside the page control, right? You will not write a code inside the app. You will write the code inside the pages. Pages is the aggregation for adding the page. Okay. Okay, so now as soon as you add the ID, so now this app.view.xml file, we should not add anything. Okay, so now next thing what we need to do. So once you add that app.view.xml file, so next thing is, so I will just go to the routing. So I will just remove this route. We don't need this route actually. Okay, So we don't need this actually. So I'll tell you why I'm doing this. Or otherwise keep it as it is. Okay, I'm creating a new route. Okay, before I create, let me create a new view file and controller file. So for creating a new view file and the controller file, same, right click on the view, new file. Okay, so view file is created. And again, I'm just creating a new controller file for that view.
So
Fine
Aviv,
now.
app.view is the main view, and upon that view, you will we will
Inside that
load
view
the first
only,
view.
yes. Inside that view only, I'm going to load the first view, which I created recently.
But
Okay.
why can't we write any code inside that app.view?
You can write, but as a best practice, we should always keep that root view of our app as a blank. Okay. You just make that root view as a container for other view files.
Okay.
Okay. That's how the single page apps we can develop from that. Okay. Okay, so now you created first view.view.xml and the controller. So now I'll just copy the code, whatever it's there inside the controller, and I'll paste it inside the controller file of first view. Here I will only change the name of the file. Okay. Only that thing I will change. First view. That's it. Nothing I need to change. And now when it comes to the XML, right? So I'll just copy the code from app.view.xml. I'll paste it inside the first view. So here I will change the name of the controller file. Fine now. Only name, controller name you need to change this name, because at the end, the logic associated with this view file, you will add it inside the associated controller file of this view, right? So that we are for that only I've added this. Okay. So now here you can directly, yes, it's your choice. You can keep app also, or you can directly add the page if you want. Okay, so 1 second, I'm just going to add a contain. And now I'm going to add a button here or text. Okay, fine now. So page we have added, inside the page we have added contain, and that's it. Okay, so now so far it's not working, because now as we created a new view file and the controller file, so this routes, for this we need to create a route. Okay, we need to specify this routes inside the routing section. Okay, so now I'm just going to copy this, give comma, and then paste it. Now provide a name to your route. Guys, just give me 2 minutes. Okay. Yeah, okay. Sorry for that. Okay, so as we created a new view file and the XML file, so now I'm just going to create a new route for it. So now what name should I provide for this? Okay, so I'm just going to provide a name for this route as a first view, or I can. Okay, so the pattern, I'm keeping the pattern as a blank. Okay, I'll tell you why I've kept the pattern as a blank. And after that, the instead of target app, I'm going to write target first. Okay, so I have to create one more target for the target first. And here I will just write instead of target app, target first. And the view ID, I will keep it as a first. And the view name, I'll keep it as first view. Okay, that's it. Okay, so now the thing is, 1 second, let me check. Okay, so once you create a route, okay, so once you create a route, so this route we need to remove. I think this route we don't need it actually. 1 second. Fine now. Now which page it is loading?
First first page view.
Yes. And why it is loading first page? Because
You
now if
change the
you look
route.
at the, no. If you look at the pattern, whenever if you're going to make any pattern as a empty, okay, empty string, it means that page will be considered as a first page of your application. Okay. Every time you load your app, so inside the app only, this first page will be loaded. Okay. Inside the app only your first page will be loaded. Okay, so I'll show you. I'll just inspect this for a second. Okay, so this is your page ID. Let's consider this is your page ID. Now this is your app container. Can you see now on the top you will have shell, which I recently added, right? Inside the view. Inside the app I have added, right? Inside the app.view.xml file, I have added shell. Is it right? This shell control I have added, right, guys?
So Avik, we
Hmm.
have a shell controller, right?
Mhm.
Inside that shell controller,
We
we are
have app,
ensure we have an app ID.
and
So
inside the app.
while calling this
Mhm.
project, we have changed in the configuration, right? In the
Mhm.
shell container, we are loading the first page view.
Mhm.
That's it, na?
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
We have a
And
container, and inside that container, we are loading a view. And that
yes,
configuration we change in the manifesto in routing. We gave the view name to make it the default page, default view.
right, right. Okay.
Okay.
So now the first control which I declared inside the app is the shell. And after that, if you look at the shell, so I'm just going inside the shell. Okay. So after that, once I go inside the shell, then you will see a container of app. Okay. So this is your main container, which is called it as a app control. And inside the app control, you will be having a view of first. Can you see
This
here
one,
SAP UI
this one
XML
is
view?
very, this one is very difficult to understand.
Ah, yes, I know, I know. Once you got it right, then it would be more clear. So for that,
Hmm.
at least you have to create 2 or 3 view files, projects. Just try with the 3 or 4 projects, create it completely from the scratch and add the configuration. It would be clear. Okay. So now how it will act as, so your app, your root view, which is your root view? Root view is your app control, right? App.view.xml file is the root view of your application. And inside that you have specified only shell, and inside that you have app control. Okay, now inside the app control only, we are going to place the first views page control. Okay, inside the app views, inside the app.view.xml file, the first thing which will be loaded is the shell. After that, it will load app, and inside the app, we are loading page control of the first view. Okay, that's how it will happen. So now going forward, let's say if I want to navigate to the second view, so what will happen in that case? Your entire page won't reload. Okay, your entire page will not reload. Only that view.xml file, sorry, the view.xml file's content would be there, right? That page, only that part of the page or that content will be affected. Okay, your entire application
Did not
reload will
did not
won't happen.
understand. Did not understand. Like
See,
loading
single
after
page
loading what?
means, I'll tell you. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Okay, 1 second. Okay, let me open an API reference only. That would be clear more. Okay, can you see here on the top? After the hash, you have the path of API and then you have the path of SAP.f. Okay, so now let's say if I want to go to the documentation. So is my page reloaded entirely?
No,
Is my page reloaded entirely?
no, no.
What is happening now? Only the hash value is getting changed on the top. Can you see now? Is my page getting reloaded entirely? Why this is happening? Because this is a single page application, and this site also that you can see this, guys, it is entirely developed in UI5. Okay, this site is entirely developed in UI5. So only that's why on the top, if you are able to see, only the part of content is getting re-rendered, means it is getting updated on the view. You're not reloading the entire app. So if I consider any other app, maybe I will just open W3 School for a second. Okay, now let's say I want to go to the videos. Okay, just look at this icon and also see the URL. Can you see now what happened here? It reloaded entirely. It is just a tab. Okay, let's say I want to go to the JavaScript reference. It reloaded. See? Okay, just check here. Just check in this URL. You just need to check. Okay, you will see one loading icon here on the top. As soon as I click right, so I'll do one thing. I'll click on this. You will see a loading icon on the top. Are you able to see, guys? You can try that. You can open W3 School and you can try that. You can open this samples one and you can open any other website or any reference library you can open. And after that, you just try. You will see that page is getting reloaded. But when it comes to the UI5, right, your page will not be loaded in. It not be reloaded entirely. Only the part of the content will be reloaded. See, everything is getting changed here. Okay, so fine now. So what in this routing and navigation? So in routing and navigation, so the root view, you always have to keep it as blank. And inside the root view, you just add shell, and inside the shell, you add it as app. Okay, so only two things you need to do. But guys, this shell is optional. Okay, if you want to add a shell, you can add, otherwise you can leave it. That's not a problem. It is optional. But whenever you're adding a shell control, you will see a space on left hand side, on right hand side. Can you see that space in the page?
Yes, yes.
Okay, why this is happening? This is happening because of shell. Okay, but if I comment this shell, still our application will work. That's not a problem at all.
The only thing is important is the app ID.
App ID. Yes, that
Okay.
app control and that app controls ID is very important. That we need to specify inside the manifest.json files config. Inside the config, you have control ID. Okay, this is very important. If this is not right, let's say I'm going to add. I'm just changing it for a second. Now let's see what will happen here. What is happening now?
It is not being loaded.
What it says, control with ID apps could not be found. Right? Now you're getting it.
Yes, yes.
Okay, this is very important, that control ID. Without control ID, your configuration and routing will not work properly. Okay, see now. So as I have removed shell, so it's taking the entire space. Okay, but if you don't want that it to take the entire space, then you can add the shell control on the top. Okay, so I'm just keeping the shell control as it is. Okay, so okay, so now before I start, so how this configuration is working, how the API is getting triggered. Okay, so whenever once you add this configuration, once you add this configuration and routes and targets, everything, so your routing will not work directly. Okay, so there should be one key which will start this router API. And then what is that key? So that key we need to add it inside the component.js file. So inside the component.js file, you will see one line, this dot get router dot initialize. Okay. So with the help of this one statement, okay, with the help of this one line of code, your routing API is getting initialized. And after that only your router class will work. Okay, once the router class is initialized, instance will be created, and now as soon as the instance is created, so your routing will work properly, based on the configuration that you have maintained inside the manifest.json file. Okay, now you got it. So this dot get router dot initialize. So as soon as you initialize, then only your routing will work, guys. I'll tell you. Okay, I'll do one thing. I'll just comment out this code now for a second. Now let's see whether your routing will work or not. See, is it working now? Everything is blank here. Why blank? Because your router API is not initialized, and your router API don't know what to do next. Okay, because it's not into picture as of now. Once your router API is initialized, then only this configuration will work, whatever you have specified in this. Okay, if you want that this configuration to work, we need to add this line of code. So earlier, this line of code was not added inside the web ID personal edition or Eclipse. Manually, we have to add it. But now see, now they are adding everything. They are adding routing configuration also, and they are also adding this line because this is a default. Okay, this is the base. Then only your routing and configuration will work. Okay, it's clear now.
Weeks
Mhm.
now in app view is the root view, and
Okay.
we have a shell, we have an app ID. Inside that
Mhm.
app ID, we have loaded the first view,
Right.
and pattern we have made it blank to make it as a default view.
Right.
Suppose we have another view, second view,
Mhm.
and we
Now
have
you
a but
want to navigate from
we
first
want to
view.
uh,
Yeah, for that, yes, I am going to come after that also.
no, no, no. Second view also second view want to make it as default.
You
So
can make
same
it. So
saying the same
what you need
process
to
you can
do?
follow.
Yeah, yeah. You just provide a pattern here then.
Hmm.
Okay. You just provide a pattern here for the first view, and for second view, you just make the pattern as a blank.
Okay.
Okay.
The
Automatically,
okay.
your second view will be loaded inside the app control.
Achha,
Okay.
okay. Okay.
Fine
To
now.
hello, yeah, I have one more doubt. We
Mm-hmm.
have three ways: V1, V2,
Mm-hmm.
V3. Is it
Mm-hmm.
possible to move from V1 to V3 directly?
Yes, that is possible.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, that's not a problem. You just need to provide a value, whatever the value you have specified for that name, for that route. Let's consider for view 3, you will provide a routes here, right? So you will create a route like this. So whatever name you have provided here, like let's say the third view. Means from the first view, you want to navigate to the third view. So this name you have to use inside the controller file. Okay. So this name property will identify that view.xml file or that route on which you want to go. Okay. So this name value, we have to use it inside the controller. This pattern value will always appear on the URL so that you can easily identify. Okay. And this target will help you to load that view.xml file. Now got it?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll see that. Don't worry on that. We'll see now in some time. So yeah, guys, let's take a 10 minutes break and then we'll start with the basic navigation. Okay, let's see how we can navigate from first view to the second view. Okay, the basic navigation we will see, and after that we will also see some base controller concept and some not found. Let's say if the page or anything that user is trying to get, if user is going to change a URL and after that you want that application to not load, right? Instead of that, we will load not found page. So that all thing we will see now. Okay, let's take a 10 minutes break and we can see that in 10 minutes.
Okay. Okay.
Guys, are you back?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so now let's see. I'm going to create one more view file, second view, and parallelly I also need one more controller file for that second view. Okay, so let me create that, and after that we will add the routes. Okay, and then once we add the routes, then we'll see once I click on the button right from the view one, how it will take me to second page or the second view. Okay, let's see that now. Okay, I'm creating a new view file, or I can do one thing. I can just create a copy of the first view. Uh, Please use browser's paste command. Paste. Okay, looks like it is not allowing me. Okay, so from the first view, going to copy and paste. Okay. Dot. Okay, so our view and controller file is ready, and yeah, view file is also ready. Second view. Okay, fine. Okay, so the next thing what we need to do, we need to open manifest.json file, and in this we need to create a route for that. So I'll just start view, and instead of target first, I'll add target second. And I'll just go down here. I'll just copy the target first, and I'll add one more target for second. Okay, whatever we have added, just that name you need to provide, and the name. Okay, second view, that's it. Okay, so our routes are also defined now. So I'm just going to make this pattern as second view. Fine now. So by default, which view file will be loaded? First, it will load app.view.xml file, and inside that it will load first page.view.xml file. Okay. So now here I will add one more button here. Go to the first page. Let's add a title. Okay, so just adding one button in the footer. I'm just going to add this method. Yeah, add this method after on in it. Okay, that's it. So let's see whether it's working or not. Okay, so for navigation, what we need to do now, as we are working with which API, so which library we have used? Any idea which library we have used?
SAP.m.router.
Yes, the library which we have used in this is sap.m.routing.router. Okay, so we are using the router class from the library sap.m.routing. Okay, so this sap.m.routing.router, it's specially designed for working with the mobile apps. Okay, let's say you want to run this app on the mobile, so it will provide extra features for the mobiles. So as this sap.m.routing.router, it extends some feature from sap.io.core.routing.router. I'll show you. Just go to the API reference, search for router. Okay, so this is our sap.m.routing.router, and which is extending some feature from sap.io.core.routing.router. Okay, so we don't have to worry. It supports all the features what we have. Okay, so now we what we need to do, we need to first of all what we need to do. So we initialized this router, right? So if I go to this, one second, yeah, if I go to the component.js file, if you want to get the router instance, so we need the method get router. Okay, because first of all we need to get the router instance, and after that only we can call other methods for the routing purpose. Okay, so we first of all we need a routing instance, then only we can navigate. Same like models. In models, how you do? If you want to get the model, so you will write this dot get view dot get model, and in that you will pass the model name. Okay, same like that for router also. We need to call a method get router. Okay, so that router instance you will get it. So once you get the router instance, so from that you can call other methods, which will help you to navigate from one view to other view. Okay, guys.
Okay.
Okay, so how to call that method now? Now that is the question. Okay, so now if you see this, where this is located now, this routing is located in UI component, right? So this is inside the component.js file. And now if you want to get the router information from the component, then we need to call this sap.io.core.ui component. Then after that you will write dot get router method like this. Same for getting the router information, you need to call get router. But this get router, it is defined. Okay, you have initialized this get router inside the component.js file. Okay, and inside the component, it's extending which API? It is extending UI component. So UI component, it is our parent component. Now in this case, now if you want to get the router information, which is initialized on the component level, so what we need to write here? Okay, I'll just do one thing now. Okay, I'll put a breakpoint here. Now I will write this UI component information. I will get it sap.io.core.ui component. Okay, why I'm writing? Because, okay, let me search here UI component. Okay, this is your UI component. In that, if you see, we have one method get router. Okay, what it says, it returns the reference to the router instance which has been created by UI component once the route in the routing metadata has been defined. So whatever the UI component you have initialized, right? The router, the router instance that you created inside the UI component. So that information you can get it from the get router method. And this get router method, get router method, it is applicable to the UI component. So I need to write p.ui.core.ui component dot get router. Get router for this. Why we need to write get router for this? Because you need this information for this. Which controller file you need that information? You need that information for the first controller. Okay. So for this controller only, I need to write a method get router for this. This means it is referring to the current controller in this case. Okay. And then from that, once you have the instance of router with you, then you can call the method dot nav2. And inside the nav2, you can pass the name value of that route. So what is the name value of that route of second view? Name value is second view, right? So this is the value which we need to pass in the nav2. That's it. Guys, you're getting it right. Only this we need to pass. And once you pass, can you see on the top URL? Automatically hash, then there is a slash, and then there is a second view. So this is the name which we have provided inside the pattern. Can you see here? It is a small case, second view. So second is in the small and the view is in the, it's like a camel case that we followed for the pattern. So that same name, it is affecting in the URL. It is reflecting in the URL. Okay. So now once I remove the debugger, it will take you to the second page. Can you see now here? Guys, are you following it?
Yes, yes. These things we need to write in the first name controller.
Yes, this we need to write it in the first name controller. So what I will write here. So I'll go to the first view. Okay, here I will write var o router. Here I will write sap.ui.core.ui component. Then I will write, no, it's not a method, right? It's a UI component. UI component dot get router for this. Okay. So till here you will get the router instance. And after that, now once you have the router information. So this router information, it belongs to which library? sap.m.routing.router. So I will just go to sap. I'll just search for router. So this is my library, right? sap.m.routing.router. From that we have one method nav2. So if that method is not here, right? You can go to the extends part. Go to the extents and search here nav2. You will have one method nav2. Can you see here? Okay, we have this method nav2. So inside the nav2, we generally have couple of parameters like the name of the route. Okay, that we need to specify. O parameters means, let's say you want to pass some information from view 1 to view 2. So that information you can pass it in the second parameter in this. That is also in the object format. Okay. Third means O component target info. So this you can ignore, guys. That's not required. If you have a nested, then only, otherwise you can ignore it. Okay. And then the last be replace, whether you want to replace true or false, that URL, whether you want to replace this URL with that hash value or not. For that, you need to pass true or false. Okay, by default value is false. If set to true, the hash is replaced and there will be no entry in the browser. So what it will do means, see, whenever you're doing any routing, means whenever you're navigating from one view to next view, so in browser cache or some history will be created for that navigation, and browser will store that history. Okay. And if you don't want that history to be stored right inside the browser, so you can just add be replace equal to true. So your history will be cleared. Otherwise, what will happen from that history? Browser will check that history and based on that, your routing and navigation will be done. Okay. So that's how it is done. Okay, so don't focus on that. We'll see that again. So first of all, first parameter is the name that which I'm going to pass it now. Okay, so we'll pass it now, that one. Okay, so I will write o router dot nav2, and inside that, what I need to pass? The name of the route. So which route we want to navigate now? Second view, right? So what is the name of that route? Name of the route is second view. So this name you can copy, this value you can copy of the name property. You have to go here and you pass it inside the single quote or double quotes, whatever you prefer. Okay, that's it. Okay, so now if you see it's already there in the URL. Okay, that's why that's why you're able to see the second page. But if I remove this, it will open the first page automatically.
Why the first page was not loaded?
Yeah, because see, as soon as I change, it's directly reload, right? Because a localhost server is running. Okay, that's keeping the URL as it is and it's directly reloaded. Okay, nothing is there to it's not related to that. You can ignore that one because localhost server, what it does, whatever you make the change, and if URL is updated, it will just reload it. The localhost, its work is just to reload the app at any case if you're making some changes. Okay, you can ignore that. That's not important. Okay, so now I have added the first page. So as soon as I click on the next page, so it should take me to the second page. Can you see now? Okay,
Yes,
so in the
yes.
URL it happened. So if I remove this, okay, I'll keep the hash as it is. It won't reload, right? It won't reload it. See, I'll show you one sec again, one more time. Second view. Okay, and now I'm inside the second view. So if I remove this, okay, I'm keeping hash as it is. Okay, I'm keeping hash as it is. So it will not reload the entire app as of now. It will directly change the content of the view. Can you see now? It just changed. But if I remove the hash, so what will happen? Now let me do once again. Okay, now again I'm inside the second page. Now this time I'm removing the hash. Now you see it will reload entirely. Can you see now? Are you getting it now? See, it reloaded the entire app. Okay, so this is the problem. So this is not a problem. This is how the SAP UI5 works. If you are changing some value after the hash, only the part of content will be changed, not the entire app will be reloaded. Okay, only that part of content will be changed and it will be updated with that the content that you have added.
So Avi, can we just go to that manifest? Yes.
Mm-hmm,
So upon clicking that next page,
mm-hmm,
we're actually setting the route as second view, and
mm-hmm,
this second view has the target as target second. And
mm-hmm.
inside that target second, in target second only, we're configuring which view we need to go.
Yes,
Okay, the main thing means which view we want to jump, that
mm,
needs to be there in the target.
right. That's need to be there in the target and that also need to be there inside the routes. Okay, this is
Okay,
just a name that you provide to that route.
okay, got it.
Fine now.
Yes.
Okay, this is, yeah, I know that it's confusing at the start, but once you practice it couple of times, it would be clear, more clear. Okay, fine now. So yeah, so now we are inside the means if I click on the second page, it will take me to the second view or the second page. Okay, so only the part of view will be rendered, not the entire page. Okay, now let's say if I want to go back now again to the first page, I don't have back button here, right? So let me add a back button inside the second view. So for adding a back button, so there is one property. So show nav button. Okay, so there is a property for the page control. Show nav back button. And so once you add this as a true, a back button will be enabled. Okay, you will see one back button for the second view. As we have added inside the second view, so it got reloaded directly. Can you see now here back button for the second page? Okay.
Yes, yes.
So now which event will be fired as soon as I click on this back button? So for that also one more property we need to add, nav button press. Okay. So here, whatever method you will add it, right? So that code we need to add it inside the second page or the second view controller file. So I will write handle back navigation. Okay. So this code I need to write here in the second page only. Okay. So same, whatever code I have added inside the first view, same code I will add it inside the second view. Okay, now this time, so what is the name of the route for the first view? So where I can find out? I can find out in the routes. Okay, the what is the name of the first route? First view, right? So just provide that inside the nav2. That's it.
Avi, these target things are automatically created, right?
Which target things?
Means all these
See,
targets.
initially only for app it will be created. But after
Okay.
that, let's say if you're adding 2 or 3 more view and controller files. So for
Mhm.
that manually we need to add it. Okay, you
Okay,
just
okay,
copy and
okay.
you paste it and you change the names.
Acha, okay.
Okay, same we have done it for routes also. Okay, so this configuration you don't have to touch, but if you're changing the ID of the root view, right? The app controls ID. So that ID you make sure that this control ID and the apps this app controls ID. It should be it should be matching with that one control ID. Okay, so this ID. Okay, so now we are inside the second view. So once I click back button, so it should take me to the first page. Okay, fine now. It is taking me to the first page. Again, if I click on the next page, it will take me to the second. Again, I click on the back. Again, it will take me to the first page. Is it clear now?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Shiva, any questions you have?
No, no, no.
Okay, it's very straightforward. You just need to understand. And this code we have to buy at it. Okay. Because this is a syntax that we need to follow.
In next class, we will see that how to pass the values.
Yeah. Okay, so before we see that, so let me explain you one last concept, base controller. Last here. Okay. So after that, maybe the other parts we will cover in the coming Saturday. Okay, not now because that will take more times actually. We have a concept like parameters, query, optional, and all the things are there. It will take more time. Okay, so as of now, I'm just going to explain the base controller concept. So now in this case, if you look at the code, okay, if you look at the code, like handle back navigation, we have added same line of code, right? Same line of code we have used. And if you look at the first view controller, same line of code we have added. In both cases, code is same, right? Code is same, only this name of the route we are changing. So shall we create a single function for this? Will that be work? I mean, will that work?
Means we need to pass a variable to that.
No, no. What
Nav.
I'm trying to say, can we create a common function rather than
Yes,
writing
yes,
the
yes,
same code again and again?
yes.
Okay, so for creating the common code, and if you want that, we should have some common methods, okay, and which can be reused in any controller. So for that, we can use base controller. Okay, base controller means nothing but it just a name that you are giving to the controller file. Okay, nothing else. Means the extension of that file would be only JS, not controller.js. It's only base controller.js file. But from that base controller.js file, you're going to extend all other files. Okay, so first of all, let me create a base controller here. Okay, so this is my base controller.js file. So in that, I'll just copy the same content from any controller file. We copy that and I'll paste. Okay, so now here what I will change, I will change only. Okay, only this I will write it here. base controller. Okay, now the next thing is this is done. Okay, this is done now. You don't have to do anything here. Just creating a common method get router info. So here it will just return router. Okay, this line of code we don't need it because this you will add it in your respective controller file. Okay, but for getting the router information, so at least this line of code it would be common. Okay, so we don't have to call this. We don't have to declare this line of code again and again. Okay, so now the next thing what we need to do, now we have two controller files, second view and the first view controller, right? So here if you see earlier we were extending from the controller, right, which is coming from this library sap.ua.core.mvc. So now instead of this controller we need to extend from the base controller. Got it now? Okay, so I'm just going to change this. This is a path of that base controller. Okay, so this is your base controller. And now this base controller I will pass here and this base controller I will pass here. That's it. Okay, only this change we have to make. So then only you can easily access, you can easily call any method from the base controller directly. Okay, same change I have to do inside the second view. So for first view I have already done. Let me go back to the second view. Sorry, yeah, second view. You pasted that file. You change it inside the function parameter and also inside the return. That's it. Okay, so now if I want to call, if I want to get the router info, so how I will get that? So for getting that, I can simply write this. And what is the method name which we have defined inside the base controller? Get router info. I'll go back here. I can directly write this dot get router info. That's it. Okay, and then with the help of orouter.nav2, you can easily write. Okay, only this we need to write it everywhere. In first view also, you can write that. Okay, let it reload now. Okay, so if I click on the next page, see, still our routing and navigation is working. Okay, let me put a breakpoint and I'll show you how it will work. Okay, so now inside the base controller, you have this method. I'm just keeping a breakpoint here. Inside the base controllers, get router info. And inside the first view, let's say you have this method. Now, as soon as I click on the next page, it will call this method get router info of base controller. Can you see now? See, automatically the breakpoint is coming inside the base controller. And then from that, it will get the router info and it will return that router info again back to the first view. And now we will inside the O router, we will have the router information. Okay, and from that, you can easily go to the next view or the second view. Fine now, guys, any questions in this?
Yes.
Okay, it's very easy. You just need to change a couple of lines of code inside the controller files. Like instead of extending from the core.mvc from the controller, you can extend it from the base controller. Only that change we need to make. And then whatever we have added here earlier for the controller, same code you added inside the base controller. Okay, only base controller will extend from the controller, that is core MVC controller, and other controller files will extend from the base controller. Okay, so if you add a common methods in this base controller, any common method, you can access any place, any controller file, but only make sure that that controller file, it should extend from the base controller. Then only you can access. Otherwise it won't work, right? Okay, guys, is it clear now?
Yes, Avik.
Okay, yeah. Any questions you have? Anything you want to discuss here? Or you want to practice? Just 20
Practice.
minutes we have.
Yeah, we want to practice this.
You want to practice?
Yeah,
Okay.
this.
Yeah, you can share any. If you want to share, you can share now also. We have
Not now,
20
not
minutes.
now. I'm telling this routing.
Okay, okay. Fine. Okay, so shall we see one more topic or how is it?
No, with next class.
Okay, okay. Fine, fine.
Yeah.
I know it. It's a lot to take from today's session. That only
See,
this session happened for 1 hour to 1 hour 20 minutes, but yeah, lot to take from this. Okay, fine, guys, no issues. Okay, I'll just ping you the
Next
backup.
topic. What is next topic?
Next topic is in this routing. Again, we have routing with parameters, routing with optional parameters, routing with mandatory parameters.
Oh, okay, okay.
Okay. Again, after that, one more topic is there, like how to catch invalid hash. Let's say let's say if user is typing anything and she is looking for other page. And now we know that this kind of route or pattern is not available inside the manifest. So instead of that, once he search, nothing is happening now, as of now.
Avik,
Okay, now
user
wait.
will interact with the URL.
Yes. If user is expert, right?
Acha.
And if he's want to make, if he's entering some invalid URL, and if that URL is not right, so you will see one blank page here, right? So instead of showing a blank page, you can display or you can give him not found page. Okay. You will design your own custom not found page, and that page you will display in this case when the user is entering invalid URL. Okay, fine now.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so that part we will see in the next session only, not now. Otherwise, it would be more. It can be covered. It's a small topic only.
No, Avik, next class.
Okay, okay, fine, no issues.
Thank you.
Okay, guys, yeah. If no
Yes.
questions, yeah, we can close this call for today.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, let's connect. Let's meet on next
Yeah.
Saturday.
Good night.
Good night.